I have some huge changes in mind for the theater space that I've been talking about on the channel for the last month. Let's start to break it down. So I did my theater room roughly 3.5 years ago. I spec'd it, I built it, I chose all the equipment, I did all my installation pretty much on my own as a DIY project. And I've learned a whole lot about home theater since then, particularly having done the room and using it. The culmination of a variety of additional learning and reflection and thinking about the lessons learned and the takeaways from the space has had my mind kind of buzzing about a few things that I'd like to change, a few things that I'd like to optimize and integrate better, and that kind of snowballed into the idea of basically doing a 2.0 version of the room. One of the main goals for this redo is basically focusing the room a little bit better towards the idea of home theater. I made some decisions, I chose some towers, I chose some gear, thinking that I might use the room dual purpose for 2-channel listening and for home theater. And as it turns out, after essentially 4 years of having the space, I've listened to exactly 0 2-channel recordings in there. My goal is to rededicate the space entirely to home theater, high quality TV shows and gaming, multi-channel type stuff. If I do some music, it's probably going to be multi-channel Atmos music, concerts maybe off of a Kaleidescape, and so I want the space fully more optimized towards that use case. I think I did some really great things in the room. The idea of how I did the on-wall wiring, the way that we structured the curtains, the acoustical treatments, and so on. And I'm happy with the general setup and a lot of the structure of the room, but I'm not as happy with the execution of a lot of the balance and again, the focus and so on of it. So it's leading to me to want to change some stuff. Along the way too, I think I've developed an affinity for a couple of brands, having used them in the space, that I'm likely to stick with, including Focal for the speakers, JVC for the projector, and so on. Within the equipment that I chose, I realized I've also made some mistakes with the integration of it. The amplification that I'm using for a speaker like a Focal just isn't the right match. And some of the fit and finish of some of the elements of the room are also at different levels of each other. So my goal is this massive overhaul of equipment and installation. I really want to take the room to a next level of home theater focused performance, but also presentation and just general appeal. I want the room to be better structured as well for the future of the channel. And so what I'm planning to do is, over the course of the next few videos, I'm going to break down all of the specific categories of changes that I'm considering, the what, the how, the why, and so on, across all of those different elements. So we're talking subwoofers, speakers and installation type, seating, amplification, processing, and so on. The one that you probably won't see in the near term right here is projector. My inclination, hopefully at some point in time, is to upgrade from an NX to an NZ series JVC, but the NZs aren't readily available yet, and I think that's something that'll happen a little bit further off. And honestly, the NX7 is such a great performer that I'm totally happy to stick with it for a while yet. But dealing with everything else, and particularly, again, the reinstallation and the reintegration of the room, is really what this redo and the focus of this redo is going to be all about. So I'm going to be acquiring a whole bunch of new gear. I'm going to be selling a whole lot of equipment too. But as the new stuff starts to come in, there's going to be a wealth of content for the channel. So we're talking unboxing videos, showcase videos, installation videos, and of course commenting on performance and reviewing the various elements along the way as we go, as well as a lot of conceptual pieces, specifically like why this versus that, and what are the ramifications of making this type of a choice in the theater versus another type of choice, and how does that affect the next choices to come along, and how does that all integrate together to make a cohesive space. Again, I did this as a DIY project originally, but in this optimization, I'm doing it as kind of a half DIY, half integrator driven step as well. And so I think that'll be really key to the whole thing. We'll be talking about that in the months ahead too. You know, you don't always have to go alone on your home theater project or go all the way to having somebody spec and install and manage the project. There's kind of a sweet spot middle ground for folks, particularly maybe like us, enthusiast people that like to get our hands on our equipment and like to do things ourselves. But there's a lot of integrators out there that know a whole lot about putting spaces together, and you bring the two together with the right balance and the right people on either side. And the whole, I think, can be greater than the sum of its parts. So we'll go into some of those concepts in the future of the channel as well. This whole process is really already started. I've already sold some equipment. I've already got some new things sitting on the other side of that door to put in. Again, this is going to be almost a 100% redesign of the space, changing a whole bunch of systematic elements around. So look for the next couple of videos again to break down each of those steps in a whole lot more detail, and then we're just going to springboard from there. And I hope that you're able to take a lot of inspiration, thought generation, and ideas and so on from what I've learned, the mistakes that I'm fixing, and again, how I'm optimizing to basically make things better at a whole level, a whole stratospheric level above kind of what I was able to achieve the first time I did it 3.5 years ago. So stay tuned. Please subscribe. I absolutely need you folks hitting that subscription button. That's one of the biggest elements to continuing to grow the channel. Like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and come back because this journey is going to be awesome. And the theater that we're going to have, the 2.0 theater that we're going to have at the end of it, is just going to be on a whole nother level. Thanks for watching.